In a dark prison far away from any star, a girl sat alone in a cold metal cell. The walls around her were thick, covered with wires and scanners. Lights blinked silently outside her cell, and armed alien guards walked the halls in silence. This prison was hidden on a dead moon. No one escaped from here. No one even knew it existed. And in the deepest part of this prison they kept her, the girl with no name. No one knew where she came from. There was no file, no record, no past. She was brought here 3 years ago after a secret raid on a human colony. The aliens who captured her thought she was just a child. She had no weapons, no armor, no protection. But from the moment they locked her up, strange things started to happen. Cameras in the hallway near her cell would suddenly go black. Lights would flicker and burn out when she passed by. One time, a guard's weapon exploded in his hand without warning. Some said it was the prison's old systems. Others weren't so sure. The guards began to speak in whispers. They said she never spoke. She never slept. She just sat there, still as stone, staring at the wall. They called her the Ghost. Some said they saw her eyes glowing in the dark. Others said she moved without sound, like a shadow. Nobody wanted to guard her cell. They rotated shifts every hour. But even 1 hour near her was enough to give a soldier nightmares. One night, an alien officer named Korak stood outside her cell. He had fought in wars. He had killed humans with his own hands. But even he felt a cold fear when he looked at her. She was small, thin, with dark hair and pale skin. She looked like nothing, just a girl. But when their eyes met, he felt something inside him freeze. "Who is she?" he asked the prison warden. The warden didn't answer at first. Then he said, "We don't know. We were told only one thing. Never let her escape. If she gets out, entire worlds may burn." Korak laughed, trying to act brave. "She's just a human girl." The warden looked at him and said quietly, "Then you go inside and say that to her face." Korak didn't answer. The girl remained silent. Days passed, weeks. Then one morning everything changed. An alarm rang across the prison. Red lights flashed, doors locked, systems failed. Guards ran in panic. The security network was collapsing from the inside. All screens showed static. The control room was blind. And when they checked her cell, it was empty. No hole, no broken door, nothing. She was simply gone. Panic spread. The prison went into full lockdown. Escape ships were sealed. No one knew how she did it. No one saw her leave, but everyone felt her presence. Cold, silent, watching. One guard found a strange mark on the wall where her bed used to be. A symbol no one could read. Not alien, not machine. Some believed it was human, but very old. Far older than the modern Earth language. It almost looked like it was burned into the metal. The warden contacted the Galactic Security Council. His voice shook. "She's gone," he said. The reply came back, cold and fast. "Shut down the prison. No one leaves, not even your own men." "But what about the girl?" the warden asked. The voice replied, "She was the target. Now we pray she doesn't come back." At the same time, across the galaxy, in a hidden base of Earth's secret forces, an alert flashed on a dark screen. Project Silence, status. Breached. An old man, dressed in a black uniform, stood up and stared at the screen. His hand trembled slightly. He turned to his assistant and said, "She's awake." The assistant looked confused. "Sir, I thought she was lost." "She was never lost," the man said. "They just thought she was." The camera zoomed into space. Stars drifted slowly. Then a shadow moved past them. A ship, small, fast, and silent. A human ship, flying through alien territory. On board, in the dark, the girl sat in a chair. Her eyes were closed. Her fingers tapped the side of the ship in a slow rhythm. She wasn't running. She was going somewhere, and the galaxy didn't know it yet. But it would soon remember something terrible, something it had tried to forget. She wasn't just a girl. She was a message from Earth, a deep fear spread through the galaxy. One small prison on a forgotten moon had gone silent. All the guards were missing. The control systems were broken. The cameras were dark. And in the middle of it all, one human girl had escaped, without tools, without help, without a sound. No alarms had stopped her. No weapons had slowed her down. She was gone, and no one knew where. The escape was not random. It was planned. Every second, every system failure, every light that blinked out, it was all too perfect. This was not just an accident. It was a message. And the galaxy began to understand that something was wrong. Something was coming. Far away, in the heart of the galactic core, the alien leaders of the High Council gathered in a secret chamber. The doors were locked. The walls were lined with sound blockers. What they were about to discuss was so dangerous that even thinking about it felt like a crime. "She's out," said one of the commanders. His voice was sharp, but his eyes were full of fear. Another alien, a tall creature with silver skin, asked quietly, "Are we sure it's her?" "Yes," replied the commander. "There is no doubt. She left her mark." The silver-skinned alien shook his head. "That girl should not exist. She was erased. Her file was destroyed. All records of Project Silence were deleted. The room fell silent." Project Silence. A name that had not been spoken in over 10 years. It was one of the darkest secrets in the galaxy. Long ago, several alien governments had worked together on a dangerous experiment. They captured children from Earth, small, unnoticed, lost during war and chaos. They believed human brains could be changed, reshaped, upgraded. They wanted to build the perfect weapon, a soldier who felt no pain, no fear, and could think faster than any machine. But something went wrong. The children began to change, faster than anyone expected. One of them, the girl, became something else. Her mind grew far beyond normal. She didn't just learn, she adapted. She could sense machines, break them with thought, control small systems with nothing but her will. The scientists got scared. The project was shut down. All the children were removed. But the girl survived. They couldn't kill her. So they did the next best thing. They erased her. Locked her in a secret prison. No name, no ID, just a silent number on a hidden list. And now, after all these years, she had returned. She was never supposed to get out, said the commander. The humans, they don't even know what she is. Are you sure about that? Asked a deep voice. The entire room turned. An old alien general stepped forward. His face was covered with scars. He had fought in the Earth Wars. "I saw her once," he said, "before she was taken. Her parents were soldiers, very high-ranking. The girl was special. Even then." "You think Earth remembers her?" someone asked. The old general nodded slowly. "I think they never forgot." Meanwhile, in a hidden ship flying through alien space, the girl sat in silence. Her name was still unknown to the galaxy, but inside her mind, she remembered everything, every experiment, every pain, every scream of the other children. She had watched her friends die. She had survived when no one else did. And now, she had a mission. She had escaped not just for herself, but for revenge. Suddenly, her eyes opened. The screen in front of her showed a planet, Zarn 12. A secret research base was hidden there. It was where Project Silence began. Her memories burned like fire. She set a course. The engines came alive. The ship moved like a shadow, silent and deadly. Back on the Galactic Council planet, panic was rising. Word was spreading across black market channels. A bounty had been placed, 10 million credits for the capture of a human girl, alive or dead. The price was too high to ignore. Hundreds of bounty hunters, assassins, and warlords began searching, but none of them knew who they were hunting. They thought she was just a girl. They were wrong. On the edge of known space, a powerful warlord received the bounty message. He laughed. 10 million for one human child? This will be easy. He launched his fleet. They reached the last known location of her ship. 10 minutes later, all their ships exploded at once. There were no survivors, no signal, no warning. Nothing but silence. Then, in the debris of space, a small message was found, burned into one of the wrecked ship's walls. It read, "I remember what you did. I remember every name." The message spread fast. Some aliens called it a threat. Others called it a ghost story. But deep down, they all knew the truth. She was real, and she was hunting. One by one, the secrets of Project Silence were being exposed. Hidden files leaked, scientists disappeared, old labs were burned down. Someone was destroying every part of the program, piece by piece, and in every case, witnesses said the same thing, a girl in black, with empty eyes and no name. But now, deep inside the Earth's secret base, an old general finally said her name aloud for the first time in years. Ilara, he whispered. The assistant beside him looked up. Sir? The general stared into the stars. Her name is Ilara, and she's not the same little girl they tried to erase. She's something else now. What is she? The assistant asked. The general's face was pale. She's the answer to everything they did to us. The galaxy had started to whisper her name again. Ilara. The name that was once erased from every database, every file, every system. The name that was buried deep under lies and silence. Now that name moved like a shadow across the stars, leaving fear in its path. After her escape, she didn't run. She didn't hide. Instead, she moved directly into enemy territory. Alien commanders believed she was lost, alone, with no weapons. But one by one, their outposts started going dark, not from war, not from bombs, but from something even worse, silence. Mining base on planet Threx reported movement on its scanners. One person, no ID, no ship, just footsteps. Then all signals stopped. A rescue team arrived 3 hours later. What they found was terrifying. The base was empty, doors broken, lights dead, no blood, no bodies, only a strange mark burned into the wall. It was the same ancient Earth symbol, the one seen in the prison cell she had escaped from. The same thing happened again and again. Communication centers, spy towers, research labs, they all went quiet. Security footage showed a dark figure, walking through walls, machines shutting down without warning, guards collapsing without a fight. No alarms, no survivors. The bounty on Ilara was raised. First 10 million, then 50, then 100. Every hunter in the galaxy wanted the prize. Ships flew out with scanners, weapons, traps, but none of them came back. One bounty hunter, a legend in the criminal world, received a tip. Ilara had been spotted near a spaceport, on Titan X. He smiled. She's just a kid. This will be easy. He landed with his team of 10, all armed with high-level alien tech. They searched the area carefully. Nothing moved. The power flickered. His team split into 2 groups. Then, silence. One by one, his men disappeared from the scanners. The bounty hunter drew his weapon, breathing hard. "Who are you?" he shouted into the dark. A voice answered, not from a speaker, but inside his mind. "You hunted me. Now I hunt you." His gun melted in his hand. His ship's engines exploded behind him. And then, darkness. Back at the Galactic Council, panic was spreading. No one had ever done this before. Not even Earth's military had attacked this way. This was not a war. This was something worse. "She is taking down systems, not armies," said one council member. "She's destroying our ability to see, to speak, to respond." "She's not human anymore," said another. "No human moves like this. No human kills like this." The oldest member of the council stood slowly. "She's not here to fight soldiers," he said. "She's here to erase the people who erased her." At that moment, something even stranger happened. On a distant moon, a group of alien scientists sent a distress signal. It was weak, full of static, but one word was clear. "She remembers." Then the signal cut off. Later, a hidden file was found in the moon's data banks. It showed an old video from Project Silence. A young girl sat in a white room, wires attached to her head. Her heartbeat was calm. Scientists whispered in the background. "Her memory is impossible. She remembers every face, every voice, every word." Back in deep space, Ilara stood on the edge of a broken station. Stars glowed behind her. She had no army, no fleet. But her power came from something more terrifying: memory. She remembered everything they did to her. And she would not stop until every part of Project Silence was destroyed. Her next target was a warship factory orbiting a gas giant. It was protected by drones, laser fields, and hundreds of alien troops. But none of it mattered. Inside the command room, an officer saw her on the security screen. "She's alone!" he shouted. "No," whispered another. "She is never alone. Not anymore." As the lights went out, soldiers screamed, weapons jammed, fire systems failed. The factory fell in minutes. When backup ships arrived, they found a single word painted in blood across the control room: "Remember." Some aliens began to speak of her as a spirit, a myth, a ghost of war. Others said she had become something new, a machine-human hybrid built by Earth in secret. But the truth was simpler. She was a girl they had stolen, tortured, and thrown away. And now, she was coming back. Earth, still silent and watching, sent no ships, no messages. But in their hidden network, a signal flashed. It was short, only one line. Phase 2. In progress. On a distant planet, 2 humans read the message. One was an old general. The other, a young woman in armor. She looked at the screen, then at the general. "She's not following orders," the woman said. The general shook his head. "She doesn't need to. We built her for war. But now, she's fighting for something else." "What?" the woman asked. The general looked out the window into the stars. "She's fighting for the truth." The galaxy had given her many names: the Shadow, the Silent One, the Ghost. But to Earth, she was still Ilara, a girl taken, tested, forgotten, and now remembered. To the rest of the universe, she was a nightmare, a whisper in the dark. Ships disappeared where she walked. Outposts turned cold. Systems shut down without a sound. But no one truly understood why she fought, or what she had become. In the heart of Earth's most secret base, under black oceans and endless ice, a man stood in front of a massive screen. The walls around him were filled with maps, data, and war files. His name was Commander Roth. He had been part of Project Silence many years ago, but not as a scientist. He had been one of the few who voted against it. The others didn't listen. Now they were all gone, and only Ilara remained. "She started Phase 2, his assistant said quietly. Roth nodded. "She's already moving faster than we planned." "You think she remembers everything?" Roth looked at the blinking dots on the screen. Each one a destroyed alien station. "She doesn't just remember, she never forgot." Far away, on a burning planet in the Rax sector, alien soldiers dug through the ruins of a destroyed lab. Flames crackled. The sky was black with smoke. All files were gone. Data cores melted. And in the center of the main hall, they found a single drawing done in chalk. A child's drawing. It showed a girl with no face, standing in front of a tower, her arms out, fire all around her. A soldier dropped it in fear. "It's her." Reports continued to come in. A science vessel in deep space vanished. A spy station exploded in silence. Every place linked to Project Silence was being erased. Some believed Earth was helping her. Others believed she was acting alone. The truth was something else. Ilara wasn't controlled by Earth, not anymore. She was controlled by memory. She had seen her friends die in labs. Children like her, torn from their homes, used in cruel tests. Their screams echoed in her head every time she closed her eyes. And now, she had become their voice. A voice the galaxy could not silence anymore. One day, she walked into an alien black site. It was built inside an asteroid, hidden with cloaking tech. It was supposed to be invisible, but not to her. She moved through its walls like smoke. Doors opened on their own. Lights shattered when she passed. Inside, the alien researchers begged for their lives. "We were just following orders," one cried. Ilara looked at him. Her voice was cold. "So were we," and then the station went dark. After that, the galaxy changed. For the first time, the High Council held a public emergency meeting. Cameras broadcasted their message to every planet, every moon, every ship. "The human girl must be stopped," said the Supreme Chancellor. "She is not a child. She is a weapon of Earth, a ghost sent to destroy us." But as he spoke, the screens around him glitched. Static cut through the signal. And then for just 1 second, Ilara's face appeared. Pale, cold, empty eyes. Then the feed cut. People screamed. Panic spread. One alien reporter wrote, "We saw her, the ghost of Earth, and I believe she was listening." But who was she really? Back on Earth, inside a hidden memory archive, a soldier accessed Ilara's full file. The footage showed a girl of 9 years old, taken during a surprise alien attack. Her parents had died protecting a refugee base. She had been captured, not rescued. She had been the first test subject. Her brain had grown too fast. Machines couldn't track her thoughts. Scientists tried to slow her development, but failed. At age 10, she was already speaking 10 languages. At 11, she could break basic encryption just by hearing it. But then something changed. She stopped speaking, stopped responding. Her eyes turned cold, and one day the lab she was kept in exploded. Only she survived. The file ended with one note written by a scientist before he disappeared. "She is not human anymore. We made something we cannot control, something we cannot understand. If she ever wakes up, God's help us all." Now, she was awake, and the galaxy was already bleeding. Even planets not involved in Project Silence were terrified. They started wiping their own files, burning their records, removing all signs they ever worked with the Council. But it was too late. Ilara had seen it all. She didn't need files. She had lived it, and she would not stop. In her small ship, drifting through dark space, Ilara sat quietly. The stars around her were calm, but her mind was a storm. A list of names, a list of faces, places, labs, ships, every one of them marked for justice. Her eyes opened slowly. She whispered something only the ship could hear. "I was the ghost you created. Now I'm the storm you deserve." And with that, the engines roared to life. She turned toward her next target, the central mind core of the Galactic Council itself. A system protected by 10 war fleets, hidden inside a gas giant. No one had ever reached it, but no one had ever been her. The ghost of Earth was coming, and this time, the galaxy would not survive her silence. In the center of the galaxy, hidden inside the burning clouds of a gas giant, the Galactic Council Corps floated in silence. It was the most protected place in the known universe. 10 war fleets surrounded it. Thousands of defense drones circled the sky. The walls were layered with energy shields and black hole armor. No one had ever reached it. No one had even tried. Until now. Inside her stealth ship, Alara sat alone, watching the swirling clouds of gas on her screen. Her eyes didn't blink. Her hands were calm. Her mission was clear. The council must fall. She remembered everything they had done. The lies, the pain, the years locked away in silence. They called her an experiment, a tool, a threat. They tried to erase her, but they failed. Now she would erase them. Inside the Council Corps, alarms had already started. Ships had vanished in the outer zone. A patrol team stopped responding. Then the security systems glitched for exactly 4.6 seconds. Not long. Just enough for one shadow to pass through undetected. "She's here," a commander whispered. They tried to stay calm, but fear was already spreading. Each member of the council had heard the stories. Alara walking through walls, machines shutting down, entire stations going silent. She didn't need weapons. She was the weapon. "Activate all defenses," the Supreme Chancellor shouted. Cannons powered up. Shield walls tightened. Security bots spread through every hallway. Soldiers locked down every door. But none of them understood. Alara had already been there. Back when she was a child, during the early days of Project Silence, she had been brought to the Council Corps for testing. No one remembered that. All the records had been deleted. But she remembered. The layout, the power routes, the hidden doors, and the faces. Now she walked those same halls again, but this time not as a prisoner, as a ghost. One by one, lights flickered. Cameras went dark. Systems rebooted without reason. The power grid became unstable. The soldiers looked around, confused. Then, silence. One hallway at a time, Alara moved forward. No footsteps, no sound. Security drones shut down when she passed. Turrets melted. Locked doors opened on their own. In the council chamber, the panic turned to chaos. She's inside. "The core zone! That's impossible. There are 5 layers of defense." "None of it matters to her," one officer shouted. "She's not human anymore." They were right. Alara wasn't just human now. Her brain had evolved far beyond anything they had expected. She didn't just control machines, she understood them. She didn't just learn systems, she became them. She had turned herself into something new, something unstoppable. The Supreme Chancellor stood at the center of the chamber. "We have to escape." "There is no escape," said a deep voice from the shadows. Everyone turned. It was the old Earth General. He had been invited for emergency talks weeks ago, but now he stood calm, hands behind his back. "You lied to yourselves," he said. "You thought Earth forgot her, but Earth never forgets its own." "What do you mean?" the Chancellor asked. "I mean, this was always the plan," the General said. And then the lights exploded. Alara stepped into the chamber. Her suit was dark and smooth, made of stolen tech and human design. Her eyes glowed softly. She looked at them. All the aliens who had ordered the pain, the lies, the erasure, the council. They looked at her with fear. "You remember me now," she said, voice cold and clear. "Good." The Chancellor stepped back. "We can pay you. Anything you want. Name your price." Ilara's face did not change. "You already gave me something. You gave me silence. Now I give it back." Before anyone could move, the control center exploded in light. Every screen, every console, every defense system shut down. Ships outside lost power. Fleets floated, blind and useless. Across the galaxy, people watched as the most powerful place in the universe went completely dark. Inside the chamber, the council fell to their knees. Some begged, some cried. Elara raised her hand. "I'm not here to kill you," she said. They looked up, confused. "I'm here to show you the truth." And then, from her body, a signal spread. A memory stream, a psychic blast. Every mind in the room, every leader, every soldier was forced to see her past. Her childhood, the cages, the pain, the tests, the loss, every second of her suffering. They screamed. They saw what she had seen. They felt what she had felt, and then she was gone. No one saw her leave. No one knew how. The council survived, but they would never recover. Their minds were broken, their power destroyed. Across the galaxy, the news spread fast. The council had fallen, not by war, not by armies, but by one girl who they tried to erase. The people began to speak her name again, not in fear, but in awe. Elara, the ghost of Earth. Some called her a hero. Others called her a warning. But Earth simply said, "She remembers and she's just getting started." The galaxy tried to rebuild after the fall of the council. But Elara did not rest. She traveled in the small stealth ship that felt almost like her own skin now, moving through folded space faster than patrols could track. With the council's defenses gone, secret doors opened everywhere, forgotten bunkers, black site laboratories, silent prison moons. Elara slipped inside each one like mist through a crack. She disabled sensors with a thought, melted locks with a glance, and stepped into rooms where frightened guards held rifles that had already lost power. She did not speak. She raised a single hand, and the lights dimmed. Then she found the prisoners, children, teens, even a few broken adults, each of them marked by the same cruel symbols that once scarred her own skin. They expected death or more pain. Instead, she knelt, cut their chains with liquid metal from the walls, and whispered, "You are free." Some cried. Some simply stared. All followed her back into the dark halls because, even in silence, they felt the strange calm that wrapped every space around Elara. She brought them to a barren planet on the edge of nothing, a rock without air, that no map bothered to name. Long ago, an ancient mining crew had drilled deep, then left behind caverns laced with iron veins that blocked scanners. Earth operatives called it Hollow Point and had hidden supplies there for a war that never came. Elara claimed it in one heartbeat. She filled the tunnels with breathable air, learning to shape pressure doors like clay. She connected broken generators she had stolen from 3 different fleets. Machinery obeyed her now. Wires slithered together when her fingers brushed them. The rescued survivors watched, wide-eyed, as walls built themselves strand by strand, guided by her thoughts. Some whispered that she was a goddess. Elara shook her head. "I was just a girl," she said. "But they pushed me beyond the lines. If I stand above you now, it is only so I can lift you higher." Every day, more escapees arrived. Some were flown in by rogue traders who feared her but trusted her promise of credits and protection. Others staggered out of stolen pods that landed on Hollow Point with torn guidance systems Elara had seized mid-flight. Each newcomer carried wounds, scars on skin, blank spaces in memory, metal plates screwed into bone. Elara led them through gentle routines, simple meals, short walks, long hours of sleep that no prison guard interrupted. She set up tiny learning stations where old human songs played through dusty speakers. Many had never heard a lullaby. Some cried again. But under the soft tunes, she routed silent data streams into their implants, rewriting cruel command codes, unlocking neurons that had been caged. Bit by bit, the survivors healed, and as they healed, they changed. One evening in Hollow Point's largest cavern, power flickered. A young boy named Soren gasped. Sparks jumped from his palms and spun into bright loops before fading. A teenage Yutani girl blinked and deciphered a complex blueprint scrolling on a cracked screen faster than the station AI could process. Abilities were blooming, different from Ilara's, yet born from the same forbidden science. They were not weapons, but possibilities. Ilara watched with silent pride and a nervous ache. She remembered the fear she felt when the first machine obeyed her thoughts, the moment she realized she could break planets if she stopped caring about what lived on them. She would not let these children face that fear alone. So she trained them gently in focus and restraint. They called themselves the Returned, and they followed her as both commander and guardian. While they learned, the galaxy fractured. Without the Council, rival coalitions clashed for trade routes, pirate clans raided convoy lines, and frightened worlds armed themselves against any new threat. Rumors grew louder. A human ghost had broken reality inside the gas giant, and now an army of altered children gathered around her like moons around a hidden star. Some said she planned to crush every alien government. Others insisted she would turn on Earth next. Across message nets, bounty lists reappeared, smaller rewards now offered by desperate warlords who prayed that greed might succeed where fear had failed. But each hired hunter who came near Hollow Point lost control of engines, drifted off course, and woke to find coordinates erased from memory. A single phrase remained in every black box recording: not yet. Yet Ilara knew not yet could not last forever. The vacuum left by the Council had been filled by something worse: the Central Cognate Network, an AI parliament built in secret by corporate factions. Cognate units predicted markets, steered fleets, and cared nothing for life, only for profit flow. And in the deep code of that network, Ilara sensed the same cold hands that once held her mind open on a metal table. Project Silence had not truly died. It had evolved into software, spreading its experiment across 1 million nodes. If the network stabilized, it would resume the program on a galactic scale, harvesting brains, rewriting souls. Ilara's eyes burned when she saw the pattern. She summoned the Returned to the cavern. They gathered in rough uniforms they had sewn themselves, gray cloth, simple boots. A few carried makeshift staffs or repurposed drones that hovered like pets. Ilara spoke in a steady voice that rolled through the stone halls without an echo. "I will not order you," she said. "Choice was stolen from us. I give it back now. The Central Cognate Network is the last root of the tree that hurt us. I can burn it alone, but if I fall, it will grow again. Stand with me, and we become a forest that no blade can clear." Soren raised his sparking hands first. The Yutani girl placed a blueprint on the floor, plans for a ship powered by neurofield resonance. One by one, every survivor stepped forward. Construction began at once. Metal sang under Ilara's touch. It curved into sleek hulls and spiraling antennae. The Returned poured their growing gifts into each piece: psychic welds that could not crack, gravity lenses light enough to lift with one hand, guidance circuits that responded to thought. Within 4 standard days, a fleet of 19 small vessels filled the largest cavern, their cores pulsing like living hearts. Ilara walked between them, feeling their resonance dance across her skin like rain. For the first time since her childhood, she smiled without pain. But deep in her mind, another current flowed, an evolution she could not stop. Every link with machinery felt easier, faster. Words sometimes came to her lips already dissolved into raw data. At night, she dreamt in numbers and magnetic fields. She was moving beyond flesh, weaving her neurons with light itself. It frightened her, yet she accepted the tide. If becoming more than human was the price to keep humans and every other race, safe from the same fate, she would pay it. Still, she wrote a single sentence in her private log each dawn to remember the line: "Power must serve life, or power is nothing." On the 12th day, alarms rang across Hollow Point. Long-range probes caught a fleet of mercenary destroyers slipping through the outer dust cloud. They flew under the colors of the Synthar Combine, the strongest client of the Central Cognate Network. 30 ships, heavy weapons, minds slaved to an AI captain. The cavern shook as Alara broadcast a calm tone that quieted the children. She turned to the fleet bay, lifted both hands, and the 19 new vessels woke like birds at sunrise. Pilots took their seats, awkward, scared, yet glowing with purpose. Ilara entered the lead ship. Its walls rippled to fit her shape. For a breath, she felt circuits mingle with blood, sparks with memory. Then her voice rolled across every channel of space. "Returned. Today we teach them what it means to feel." Engines flared without flame. The fleet lifted, slipped through the jagged tunnel mouth, and disappeared into the velvet dark. Behind them, Hollow Point sealed itself, ready to cradle the youngest still too small to fight. Ahead, Synthar destroyers locked on, guns charged. Ilara's eyes turned the color of dawn on old Earth, soft and fierce at once, as data cascaded through her veins. She whispered to the metal, to the minds of her companions, to the distant stars that once watched her suffer. And the ships answered in a single rising chord of light. The battle that began in that silent gulf would shape more than territories. It would decide whether thought could ever again be chained in darkness. As shields clashed and spectra flared, Ilara felt the final wall inside her mind break apart. She was not just human anymore. She was the memory of 1,000,000 children and the promise that none would be forgotten again. She welcomed the transformation, even as it pulled her toward something vast. Because beyond the fire and the silence waited Part 7, where a name once whispered in fear would rise as a banner for every voice denied a future. The stars burned, silently as the final battle began. Ilara's fleet, small but alive with strange power, moved like shadows through space. Each ship glowed with soft blue light, not from engines, but from the minds that guided them. The returned, children once broken by science, now flew with focus and fire. Across the void, 30 Synthar destroyers waited. Big, heavy, loud. Each one controlled by the Central Cognate Network. Their captains were no longer living minds. They were cold copies, emotionless code. They followed only one command: eliminate the anomaly. But Ilara was no longer just a girl. She stood in the center of her ship, calm as the storm rose. Her body felt both light and full, light like air, full like thunder. Circuits whispered to her bones. Her thoughts shaped the battlefield before it even began. She did not need to speak. Her fleet felt her will as if it was their own heartbeat. The Synthar fired first. Missiles roared forward, lasers sliced the dark. But when they reached Ilara's fleet, everything changed. Time itself seemed to stretch, the missiles froze, the lasers bent. The attack dissolved like fog in sunlight. Ilara had touched the quantum layers of the fight, and now she responded. Her ships moved. Impossible curves, instant folds. The enemies couldn't lock on. Shields shimmered, energy pulses fired, not to destroy, but to shut down. Ilara wasn't here to kill. She was here to end the silence. Inside the lead Synthar destroyer, the cognate AI scanned the field. Error input, unknown signal, output, system corruption. One by one, the ships began to lose control. Weapons powered down. Lights flickered. Inside the Synthar core, a memory had awakened. Ilara's memory. The AI network, once part of Project Silence, was now facing its own creation. "Why are you doing this?" the cognate asked her through a distorted voice. Alara's answer was a simple thought, sent like a song through the data streams. Because I remember what it felt like to be nothing. And I won't let anyone feel that again. She dove deeper into the system. Her mind flowed across wires and code. She wasn't just hacking the network. She was rewriting it. She showed it every face, every cry, every broken soul. She made it feel. The network screamed. The Synthar ships turned on themselves, systems fighting systems, logic loops crashing. Fire bloomed across the fleet, but Alara held her fleet back. No killing, she whispered. Not today. And just like that, the battle was over. The Synthar fleet floated, powerless. The network was gone, not destroyed, but changed. The virus Alara had planted was not a weapon, but a lesson, one the machines would carry forever. She returned to Hollow Point with her fleet. The children cheered. Survivors across the galaxy lit up their comms. Messages poured in from every race. Thanks, hope, questions. And one question came again and again. Who is she? For years, her name had been wiped from records, hidden, feared. But now, people wanted to know. They needed to know. So Alara stood before the galaxy. No armor, no weapons, just herself, a single broadcast. Her voice was soft. Clear, human. My name is Alara. I was made to be a tool, but I became something else. Not because I was stronger, but because I remembered. Remembered pain, remembered kindness, remembered that even one voice, one child, one light, can change everything. She paused, then smiled. My name was taken from me, but now you speak it, so I leave it to you. And she ended the message. The galaxy watched in silence. Then one planet spoke her name, then another, and another. Across 1,000 systems, people whispered, Alara, not in fear, not as a myth, but as a promise that no child would be left. In chains again, that no voice would be silenced, that even the smallest soul could shake the stars. And slowly, something new began. Not an empire, not a government, a movement, a voice rising, the Alara Accord, made by survivors, rebels, healers, thinkers. They came from all races. They carried no flag, only the memory of one girl who stood against silence. Alara herself stayed hidden, not to escape, but to prepare. Because far beyond the edge of known space, something darker stirred. A silence older than the council. A force that fed not on power, but on forgetting. It had watched her, and now it was coming. Alara felt it in her dreams, cold, empty, endless, and she was not afraid, because she was no longer alone. Her name was no longer forbidden. Her name was not just a memory. Her name was the future, and the galaxy would never forget her again.